Good day, everyone. This is Teacher Cherry. In this video, we will learn about direct variation. We will illustrate situations that involve direct variation. We will translate into variation statement a relationship involving direct variation between two quantities given by a table of values, a mathematical equation, a graph, and vice versa. And we will solve problems involving direct variation. Ano ba ang direct variation? A direct variation occurs when one quantity is equal to a constant times the other quantity. This can be expressed into mathematical statement or equation as y equals k times x, where k equals y over x is the constant of variation or constant of proportionality. This is the equation of a direct variation. Y equals k times x. One quantity is y, k is our constant, times the other quantity which is x. This is the equation of direct variation. Y equals k times x. This equation can be represented as y varies directly as x, or y is directly proportional to x, or y is proportional to x. Kung ita-translate natin tong tatlong statement na ito, this is the equation, y equals k times x. These statements mean that for two quantities x and y, an increase in x causes an increase in y as well. Kapag nag-increase ang value ng x, mag-i-increase din ang value ng y. Similarly, a decrease in x causes a decrease in y. Kapag nag-decrease ang value ng x, magdi-decrease din ang value ng y. Let us have illustration of direct variation in real life. We have here example. If the cost of fish C varies directly as its weight W, then the relationship can be translated into a mathematical statement as C equals K times W. Yung given na first quantity natin, which is the cost of fish, which is represented as C, so yun yung ilalagay natin sa left, naka-isolate siya. And then, equals, K is the constant of variation times the second quantity, which is the weight, represented as W. So, this is our equation. C equals K times W. It means that as the weight of fish increases, the cost of fish also increases. Habang bumibigat yung weight ng fish, tumataas naman ang presyo ng fish. Let us have an activity. Translate the statements into equations. I have here a statement, and then we will translate it into equation, just like our illustrations earlier. Number 1. A is directly proportional to B. What is the equation of this statement? The equation is A equals K times B. A is the first quantity, so we have A, and then equals K as the constant of variation multiply to the second quantity, which is B. So this is the answer. Number 2. The circumference C of a circle varies directly as the length of its diameter D. The equation is C equals K times D. So, C stands for circumference. So, ito yung naka-isolate. And then, equal siya sa constant times the second quantity, which is the diameter. So, we have C equals K times D. Number 3, the cost C of fish varies directly as the number N of kilos both. What is the equation? C equals K times N. C is the cost of fish. So, yun yung first quantity equals K is the constant of variation multiply to N, which is the number of kilos both. Let us have another activity. Determine if the tables and graphs express a direct variation between the variables. If they do, find the constant of variation in an equation that defines the relation. I have here table of values. Is this a direct variation? Paano natin malalaman na ang isang table ay direct variation? Una, kunin natin ang ratio ng y and x. For the first given, x is 1 and y is 5, the ratio y over x is 5 over 1. The next given is x is 2 and y is 10, the ratio of y and x is 10 over 2. And the next given is 15 over 3. The next is 20 over 4. And the last is 25 over 5. Okay, then solve natin yung ratio nila. The first one, 5 over 1 is 5. 10 over 2 is 5. 15 over 3 is 5, and 20 over 4 is 5, and 25 over 5 is also 5. As you can see, ang ratio nila ay equal sa 5. They are the same. Kapag ang nakuhang ratio ay pare-parehas, the given table of values is a direct variation. So, na-determine na natin na direct variation siya. Find the constant of variation. Ang constant of variation is the ratio. So, ang nakuha natin is 5. So, that is the value of K. Ano na ngayon yung equation that defines the relation? So, y equals K times x. Y varies directly as x. Substitute natin yung value ng K, which is 5, dito sa equation y equals K times x. We now have y equals 5x. This is the equation that defines the relation. Let us have another example. This is the given table of values. So, to determine if this is a direct variation, kunin natin ang ratio ng y and x. Okay, so we have 20 over 2, that is 10. 28 divided by 4 is 7. 60 over 6 is 10. 64 divided by 8 is 8. And 70 divided by 10 is 7. As you can see, magkakaiba ang nakuha nating ratio. This means that the given table of values does not show a direct variation. Kaya siya ay not a direct variation. Let us have another example. Okay, so this is a graph. As you can see, the graph is a line. Paano natin malalaman kung direct variation ang graph? Okay, katulad ng table of values, kukunin natin yung ratio ng y and x. Okay, so this point, the ratio is 70/1. Ang y natin is 70, ang x natin is 1. This point, ang ratio is 140/2. And then, the third point is 210/3. This, and then, we have 280/4 at 350/5. Okay, so, ano ang kanilang ratio? 70/1 is equal to 70. 140/2 is also 70. 210/3 is 70. 280/4 is 70. And 350/5 is also 70. Since equal ang nakuha nating ratio, that is a direct variation. So, ang constant is 70. Ang ating equation, y varies directly as x. Kapag sinubstitute natin yung 70, we have y equals 70x. Aside from that, as you can see, nag-pass through ang ating line dito sa 0, 0. Okay, kapag nag-pass through ang line natin sa 0, 0 or origin, that means that the graph shows a direct variation. Hindi lahat ng straight line ay nagpapakita ng direct variation. Laging tatandaan, dapat ay nagpa-pass through siya sa origin. Kapag hindi siya nag-pass through sa origin, that is not a direct variation. Okay, let's have another example. Okay, so we have here another graph. Okay, so kung mapapansin natin, ang graph natin is a line. So, tignan natin kung nag-pass through siya sa 0, 0 or origin. So, as you can see, hindi siya nag-pass through sa origin. It means this is not a direct variation. Kung kukunin din natin ang ratio, iba-iba ang ating makukuha. For example, the ratio is 4/1, so which is 4. How about this point? The ratio is 6/2, so that is 3. So, hindi equal yung kanilang mga ratio. Ibig sabihin, this is not a direct variation. Let us have another example. Okay, so this is another graph. Is this a direct variation? Okay, as you can see, the graph is not a line. That is a smooth curve. So, ibig sabihin, kapag hindi line ang ating graph, that is not a direct variation. Okay, let's solve some problems involving direct variation. Okay, so the first problem, if P varies directly as Q and P equals 25 when Q equals 5, what is the value of Q when P equals 80? So, sa given problem, ang ating hinahanap ay value of Q. Okay, the first step is to translate P varies directly as Q into equation. Our equation is P equals K times Q. So, this is P varies directly as Q. And then, after that, substitute natin yung value ng P, which is 25, and Q, which is 5, dito sa ating equation. We now have 25 equals K times Q. And then, we multiply K times 5, so we have 5K. So, kinapi lang natin yung 25 equals. And then, we apply the division property of equality. Divide natin both sides by 5 para ang maiwan sa kabilang side ay K. We now have 25 over 5 is 5. And then, we have 5K over 5 is K. Or, we have K equals 5. So, nakuha na natin yung constant, yung value ng constant natin. Hindi pa tayo tapos. Ang next na gagawin natin is, isasubstitute natin yung constant natin doon sa equation. We now have P equals 5 times Q. And then, substitute natin yung value ng P which is 80 dito sa ating equation. So, P is 80. So, we have 80 equals 5 times Q. Then, divide both sides by 5. We have 80 over 5 is 16. And then, we have 5Q over 5 is Q. Or, we have Q equals 16. Therefore, the value of Q is 16 when P equals 80. Okay, so meron tayong another way of solving the given problem. Okay, so una, i-translate natin yung P varies directly as Q. So that is P equals K times Q. And then, the value of K is equal to P over Q. And then, makakabuo tayo ng proportion na P sub 1 over Q sub 1 equals P sub 2 over Q sub 2. Isa-substitute natin ngayon yung mga given. Okay, so ang P sub 1 natin is 25. Ang Q sub 1 natin is 5. So, yun yung first set na given ng P and Q. Okay. And then, for the second set, ang given ay P which is 80. So, we have 80. Ang value ng Q is unknown. So, still Q sub 2 pa rin yung ating ilalagay. And then, i-cross multiply natin. We have 25 times Q sub 2. We have 25 times Q sub 2 equals 5 times 80 or 80 times 5. Okay, so multiply natin. 25 times Q sub 2 equals 80 times 5 is 400. And then, divide both sides by 25. We have Q sub 2 equals 45 divided by 25 is 16. So, tulad ng nakuha natin kanina, ang value ng Q is 16. Dito sa second solution natin, ang makukuha pa rin nating value ng Q is 16. Let us have another problem. The amount of paint P needed to paint the walls of the room varies directly as the area A of the wall. How many gallons of paint is needed to paint a wall with an area of 120 square meters if 2 gallons of paint can cover a 48 square meter wall? Okay, so tinatanong dyan kung ilang gallons daw ng pintura ang kailangan para mapintahan yung wall na ang area ay 120 square meters. Given na 2 gallons of paint ay makukover niya yung 48 square meter wall. The first step is to translate. Okay, the paint needed to paint the walls of the room varies directly as the area A of the wall. Okay, so ang ating equation is P varies directly as the area of the wall. So, K times A. Then, substitute natin yung given. Okay, yung 2 gallons of paint at saka yung 4 square meter wall. So, ang paint natin is P is 2. Ang area is 48. So, we have 2 equals 48K. Divide both sides by 48. We have 2 over 48 is reduced to lowest term, 1 over 24. And then, 48K over 48 is K. Or, we have K equals 1 over 24. That is the value of the constant of variation. So, hindi pa yun yung final answer. Isa-substitute natin yung constant of variation sa ating equation. So, we have now P equals 1 over 24 times A. Then, substitute natin yung given na 120 square meters. So, yun yung area. Okay, so we have P equals 1 over 24 times 120. So, we have 120 times 1 is 120 over 24. P equals 5. So, 120 divided by 24 is 5. Therefore, it needs 5 gallons to paint a 120 square meter wall. Gagamitin natin yung second way or second solution. So, una, itatranslate natin P equals K times A. So, P varies directly as A. And then, K equals P over A. So, we have now the proportion P sub 1 over A sub 1 equals P sub 2 over A sub 2. Then, substitute the given. So, ang P sub 1 natin is 2. Ang A sub 1 natin is 48. Equals, so, ang hinahanap is P sub 2 over, ang A sub 2 natin is 120. And then, we cross-multiply. We have 2 times 120 or 120 times 2 equals 48 times P sub 2. Okay, multiply 120 times 2 is 240. And then 48 times P sub 2 is 48 P sub 2. Divide both sides by 48. So, 240 divided by 48 is 5. 48 P sub 2 over 48 is P sub 2. Or we have P sub 2 is equal to 5. Therefore, it needs 5 gallons to paint a 120 square meter wall. Parehas lang din yung nakuha nating answer. Okay? Okay, that's the end of our tutorial. Before I end this video, I would like to say that you have to trust yourself that you can do it and get it. Thank you so much. Keep safe and have a great day.